The final screen in our app is Checkout View. And really it's a tale of two halves. The first half is the basic user interface, and honestly it should provide little challenge for you. The second half though, that's all new because we've got to encode our order class into JSON and then send that over the internet and get a response back. We're going to look at the whole encoding and transferring chunk of work soon enough. But first, let's tackle the easy part. Checkout View. This thing needs to have a meaningful user interface, right? Not just hello world. And this means having a scroll view in here with an image, the total price the user will actually pay, and then a place order button to send it off to the internet. For the image, we're not going to store this inside our asset catalog. I mean, we could, little fixed Cupcake picture, but instead we're going to use async image to load an image from my server. And that means in practice, when you ship the actual app in the future, you can switch the image dynamically to have seasonal alternatives and promotions and offers and who knows what's going. As for the order cost itself, we haven't actually got any meaningful Cupcake pricing. It's not real. We're going to invent one, right? It's not like we're actually going to be charging people real money here. And so our pricing I've dreamt up as being valid here is there's a base cost of $2 per cupcake. We'll add a little bit more to the more complicated cakes like chocolate and rainbow. We'll add an extra $1 per cake for extra frosting. And then if they want extra sprinkles, it's 50 cents per cake. I have no idea if that's reasonable. It's not real, right? We can wrap up all this logic in a computed property in order because the order knows what cake we're asking for. And so we can say, hey, give me your actual cost for this cake. Cake order, that is, sorry. So we'll say our cost is a double. And we'll start by saying it's $2 per cake. And I'll actually put comments here as we go. So that is going to be $2 per cake. So our cost is the double of our quantity times 2. So $2 per cake. We'll then say that complicated cakes cost more, which means add to the cost the double of our type divided by 2. So again, we're going to add a little bit more based on how complicated the cakes are. We'll then say we add $1 per cake for extra frosting. Frosting even, not frosting. Frosting. So if extra frosting is enabled, cost will add to it the double of our quantity. That is $1 per cake. And then we'll say at the end, it's an extra 50 cents per cake for extra sprinkles. So we'll say if add sprinkles is true, then cost plus equals the double of our quantity divided by 2. And that completes the cost calculation. We can now send that back. I should say, just throwing it in there, double isn't ideal for currency, but it's what we have at this point in your learning, so it's going to have to do. In the future, as you get more information, you'll learn of better ways to store currencies. Anyway, it's good enough for here. The actual view code, I think, is fairly straightforward. We'll have a VStack with a scroll view, then our image, our cost text, and a button to place the finished order. We're going to fill in the button's action in a minute. But first, let's do the basic view here. We'll say there's a scroll view with a VStack. I hit resume my preview. A VStack, and then our async image. So there's an async image with a URL being a URL string, and the URL you want is https://hws.dev/img/cupcakes at 3x.jpg. Now remember, we're loading a really nice big picture here, triple resolution for the iPhone 13 Pro and Pro Max size display. But SwiftUI won't know it's 3x. Yes, it's in the URL, but it doesn't look at that when it loads a thing. We want to tell it explicitly this has a scale of 3. Now we want to customize the image and placeholder here. So we'll open up our trade enclosure and say image in, please. That's the image that got loaded. So we'll say our image here is resizable and scaled to fit. Then a placeholder, I'm going to use progress view. Get a little spinner. Now this image is going to be, I think it's like 699 pixels high. So when it's a 3x scale, we scale down to 233 high. But the progress view, that little sort of activity spinner thing, is tiny. And so what will happen is the spinner will be there, it'll animate for a few seconds, and then the image will pop in and take up more space. A better idea is to say, actually, I want to give the whole async image a frame height of 233, for example. Because that way, it'll reserve enough space for the image to snap in later on. So it won't jump our UI around. That's our image. Below that is our text. So we'll say the text saying your total cost is string interpolation order.cost. And the format is .currency with the code of USD. Like that. Quote, quote, end quotes. That thing, there we go. In a font of title. Then a button saying place order. And the action will be an empty closure for now. We'll come out of that later on. And then add a little bit of padding around that. To finish up, we'll say to our scroll view here, you have a nav title of checkout. And for the display mode, just to make sure we're in inline, will be navbar display mode .inline. So you can present that from the root view, from the second view, wherever you want to, and it'll always be in line. And that should get us a lot closer to where we want to be. Let's find out. So no requests. I'm going to just type in 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then check out. You should see, bang. So that you see that the total here, $6, did not move when the image appeared, replacing the spinner. It just stayed exactly so, which is exactly what you want. The tricky part comes next.